This is Esther Lin, photographer for MMAfighting.com, and I wanted to share a few of my favorite images from UFC 224 in Rio de Janeiro. Fight week began on a Wednesday night at Baja Shopping, where it was a warm affair with family and friends. Yoto Machida worked out for fans and then posed with his brother Chinzo. Mackenzie Dern was joined on stage by her father, legendary grappler Megaton Diaz. Both the challenger Raquel Pennington and champion Amanda Nunes brought their partners Tisha Torres and Nina Ansaroff as they demonstrated a bevy of skills to the fans gathered here in this shopping center. And Vitor Belfort brought a most esteemed guest, his service dog, Xenia. I feel like important things were probably said at the UFC 224 media day, but all I remember is Vitor Belfort in a bathrobe, plaid pajama pants, and Xenia sleeping at his checkered feet in his UFC-issued slippers. The highlight of the second day here in Rio is definitely bathrobe Vitor. And also, Mackenzie Dern trying to shake Amanda Bobby Cooper's hand a lot. Cooper accepted the first shake, but didn't understand why Dern kept extending her hand and just opted to leave the grappler hanging for the rest. There was really only one question most had in mind as we showed up to the official weigh-ins at 9 a.m. And that was if Mackenzie Dern would make weight. As Dern stepped on the scale around 10 a.m., her expression was sullen, and her posture even more so. With an hour to go, Dern resigned to being recorded at 123 pounds, 7 pounds over the 116-pound limit for strawweight. Only Cooper was left. Half an hour later, Cooper topped the scale at 116. Then it was time to wait to see if Cooper would accept the fight. Then, if the commission would sanction such a huge disparity. Eventually, terms were agreed upon. The fight is a go. Not every fight is a grudge match. And here, Nina Ansaroff and Tisha Torres, former training partners, now in opposing camps, before ceremonial weigh-ins posed on the arena stage together, their hands in the shapes of hearts. During the ceremonial weigh-ins, John Lineker and Brian Kelleher demonstrate proper eye poke defense. Amanda Nunes comes in with a lion's mane per her namesake, and the two women in the main event face off. UFC 224 is set. It's fight night. Alexei Oleinik gets another Ezekiel choke. Or really, let's call it an Oleinik choke. Cesar Ferreira returns to action and puts Carl Roberson to sleep. While sometimes much of MMA may seem like a spectacle, at its root, it is still the martial arts. There was consistent action throughout the night in Rio, so the early circling between Machida and Belfort seemed out of place. But for me, the cage was taut with tension, and I felt like at any moment. Then it happens. Machida's left leg snaps up, and I see only the distortion from the back of Belfort's head. That and a bit of sweat flying away from his face as the phenom collapses to the canvas. In the end, Vitor Belfort decides it is time to leave his gloves in the octagon. Kelleher and Lineker fought, as you would guess, with seemingly reckless abandon. The Brazilian brawler deals pain to both the body and the head, walking through Kelleher's hard punches to return with more hooks to the aching torso. And as so many have before him, it is just so hard to stay upright in the face of such relentless pressure. Kelleher crumples against the cage. Lineker smiles. That was fun. It's nearly been a day and a half now since yesterday morning's weigh-ins. Mackenzie Dern stands across from Amanda Bobby Cooper, and it seems that she is a bigger fighter. While I'm wondering if Dern will make the switch to flyweight, The BJJ black belt bashes the boxer across the face and Cooper drops. Now that they're in Duran's world, the finish comes soon after. Duran stands to cheer, while Cooper dizzily grasps at her foe's ankle. Mackenzie Dern remains unbeaten. She's able to have a big win here in Brazil, and while it's marred by the weight issue, in the record books it is still a win, and there are likely no asterisks when it comes time to book her next step. And as if to tell us there will be no deviation from tonight's storylines, Jacare Souza spends much of the first round constricted around the young Gastelum. Even so, Gastelum survives and makes it out of the round, Jacare smiling perhaps out of disbelief as Gastelum walks back to his corner. In the corners, Jacare looks to be wildly exhausted for a fighter who has largely fought in his own wheelhouse for the last 5 minutes. The next 10 minutes would be an exhaustive battle between the two, and in the end, the judges give Gastelum the nod in this extremely close contest. The arena darkens for the main event. Pennington prays before entering the cage door. Nunes marches toward it with her quiet confidence. But from the opening bell, the challenger, who has been out of action healing her injuries, does not get to shake the ring rust before Nunes can attack her leg and she crashes to the mat. It's 4 rounds of forward pressure from the champion, and Pennington stepping gingerly. At the end of the third, Pennington remains kneeled on the canvas, taking a moment before returning with such a heaviness to her corner. She eats another knee at the end of the 4th round, and now more blood is streaming out of her nose and up her face. But Raquel Pennington isn't nicknamed Rocky for some quaint connection to being a prize fighter. She's a tough, gritty, and yes, durable fighter who has no quit. And while apparently between the 4th and 5th round with her once broken leg throbbing as if it was broken again, she wanted to be done. Her coaches sent her forward into that last round, knowing she'd regret quitting in this way. Instead of ending on the stool, she's taken down by the champ one last time, and the referee steps in soon after the last nails are hammered into Nunes' victory. I wonder if we would have the same uproar if Raquel were a Richard. Or how many times has a fighter asked to end a fight and the corner pushed them through, but we just didn't get to know what was said? Or perhaps we saw Pennington 4 rounds down with no seeming path to victory for the challenger. In any case, it doesn't make Amanda Nunes' 3rd defense of her title less impressive, and perhaps she had laid off those punishing kicks due to her own injured foot. In the end, the champ admits it was the hardest thing in the world to destroy a friend. She hopes never to have to do it again. With the adrenaline of the fight gone, Nunes needs to be carried to and from the post-fight press conference. But she's still beaming with joy and pride, still a champion, triumphant here in her home country, where she hasn't fought in over 8 years. It's a sweet homecoming for the Lioness. And now, we wait to see who will be the next to challenge for her crown. This is Esther Lynn for MMAfighting.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in Chicago.